My name is Amalia Malli. I work for Nord University in Norway, and I'm working with iNaturalist, which is an online platform a non-profit online platform in which you can upload and record and track your observations from nature. When you upload information on iNaturalist, it's actually kind of like a two-way street. So on the one hand, the uploader, so the observer, whoever it is, a citizen scientist, an actual scientist, can get information about the target organism that they uploaded, they record, or they can, keep a record of their observations. It's actually pretty useful, and they also can get some information about what they observed. So that's pretty neat. But of course, the cool thing is that that information is open access to scientists, which can then, if that species is verified that it's the actual species, it's uploaded in scientific platforms where we can use that data to do any kind of research we need based on that data. So that's pretty cool because that's quite a lot of open source information at a massive scale. To recognize those species, iNaturalist uses a pattern recognition AI system to identify the species based on information that was already available from other users. So for example, if there's a species A that has 10 observations, then the AI model will train on those 10 observations in order to identify that species in the future. It usually is a little bit more, but for the sake of the example, let's say 10 observations, 10 pictures. You can also upload audio. But some invasive species, because they're there's not that many observations, the AI system of iNaturalist cannot recognize them, and therefore the user does not get a suggestion of those invasive species, and they're left unrecorded. So part of our project is also to recruit scientific experts or people that are familiar with that species, that list of species that don't have any, they cannot be recognized by the system, the AI system of iNaturalist, and they can upload observations or validate already existing observations in order to train the AI to identify those species. And of course, when that data becomes available to us, we can track those invasive species in the wild. So that means that we could find early detections. So if a species that has not been identified, has not been observed in nature before, that it's invasive in an area that has not been observed before, we can identify it using iNaturalist, because somebody just went for a walk and they saw a frog that wasn't supposed to be there, and then iNaturalist, we get a kind of like earlier alert warning about that. So it's pretty cool. Also, we could track species distributions and other characteristics about those species. Not only that, it's of course, it's the massive scale, and it's also kind of like the omnipresence of because when you're a scientist, you have like a bunch of scientists working at like a specific period of time, usually in a very specific budget. But now you have like millions of volunteers at all times, at all places, and therefore you have data gathered all the time, and they're open access. So that's so much information that we can use that is clearly so available to us. So that's perfect. Again, it's more about, of course, if you're doing a focused scientific study, you get more nuanced information about what kind of organisms there are and how they interact with the environment and everything. But of course, this is not structured, this is not organized, but there's so much information that with the scale of iNaturalist, you could get, massive, you could ask new questions and get you could answer a lot of research questions, basically. I'm also working with some other scientific methods, such as molecular information. And it's really interesting for us to compare how this kind of information overlaps with what we're seeing with citizen science efforts, such as iNaturalist, and where can iNaturalist provide unique information relative to other types of methods that we're using on GuardIAS.